A lot of companies, from my understanding, they look for fit in terms of breaking that culture, that cultural barrier. When obviously, because Pakistanis, they won't have that exposure in Canada because they haven't even landed in Canada. So, how do you
Yeah,
feel like bridging that gap in the interview process? Do you have any recommendations for that or any thoughts on that?
absolutely. Absolutely. One of the very basic tips that I tell everybody is that when you start an interview and let's say they ask you, okay, tell us about yourself or walk us through your experience, do not just talk about your work experience.
Yeah,
Talk about yourself at the
yeah,
end. So let's say, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is XYZ. I have this many years of experience in this field. In my previous roles, I've done ABCD, and that ABCD should be picked from the JD because that's how you create relevance right away. That this is what I've
yeah,
done for these brands or for these companies. And at the end, you should throw in something about yourself. Uh, and outside my work hours, you'll find me reading books. You will find me watching thriller movies on Netflix. I know people who discussed Netflix seasons or series with VPs in their interviews.
oh, that's awesome.
I was working with a candidate who was a fresh grad. He did his master's from Montreal. And when I told him that he should do this in the interview, he was like, no, how's that even possible? Why should I talk about my personal hobbies? I said, this is Canada. They want to know who you are, what you like to do. And he told the manager that, okay, I like to go camping. And at the end of the interview, it was a virtual interview. The manager said, okay, I want to show you something. He shared his screen. He went on Google Map. He showed him a camping site. He said, you said you're going to go to this camping site. Make sure you put your camp here because the view of the sunset and the sunrise from this point is to die for.
Yeah,
That's happening in the interviews.
yep,
And that this is what the difference is in Canadian culture versus where we're coming from, the part of the world we are from. Yes, we only talk about work. It's just shop talk. We don't want to know what else is
yeah,
happening. Or it's just everything else, then shop talk. That's why that's the basic tip. Talk about yourself.
yeah,
Just tell them what you like to do. If you're a father, tell them you're a father. You have two kids. If you have a pet, talk about your pet.
yeah.
So make sure you tell them something about yourself, who you are outside the work settings. They are really interested to know that. And like you said, the threat they want to see. I have discussed with senior vice presidents, I've discussed motorcycles in my interviews
Yeah.
because I told them I ride motorcycles. And then she would tell me, okay, I have this one, which one you got, which year? Oh, okay, it's a sports cruiser. So all those things, it happens. This happens. As immigrants, we find it hard to understand, but that's the most basic thing you can do. And you will see the tone of the interview, the whole aura of the interview would change
Yeah.
because you will be a lot more comfortable.
Exactly. No, it's funny you brought up that story because it's been so long. Like when I interviewed my first year for KPMG, literally when I spoke with a partner, like the first 5 minutes was just talking about basketball because the Raptors won the NBA champions
Yeah,
very during that time, 2019, I think it was. And yeah, it was just 5 minutes of just talking about basketball. And then, yeah, then it just became so much
absolutely.
easier. So I really relate, like in terms of it just makes it more easier to chat from that point. So very good point.
Absolutely. And another thing is, this is what I tell the candidates that I'm mentoring and when they start their jobs, I tell them that the Monday meetings here are actually very
Yeah.
relaxed. Back home, the Monday meeting is something we dread. Here in the Monday meeting, the first 5 to 10 minutes would be spent going around the table asking, what, how did you spend your weekend? And you would hear all kinds of stories. I went to my cottage up north. I went kayaking with my grandson. I went for camping with my girlfriend. You'll hear all kinds of
Right.
stories. Somebody would tell they were at the Blue Jays game. Somebody would tell you they were at the Raptors game, like you mentioned. So a lot of those things would be discussed and you'll be surprised. Okay, is this a work meeting?
Yeah.
Because back home on Monday, everybody is already winding and they're still not out of their weekend mode and the week has already started. So the Monday meetings are actually dreaded. Here, the first 10 minutes are actually just talking about the weekends and then they get to the shop talk.